Nice to meet you. I really enjoyed your talk.
Thank you.
The complexity of it, though, addressing such a huge organization such as BBWA. Can you tell me a bit more about how did you choose to actually frame the assignment?
Well, the problem came through the innovation center of BBVA. So the fundamental challenge was presented through the innovation arm, but ultimately, as we started to go through understanding what the actual framework of the bank would be and figure out all the touch points and everything, we realized that very quickly we had to work with the various business units within the bank in order to bring that to life. And without them, it never would have happened. So I feel like you sort of face a similar challenge.
It's very similar. Yeah, we have the bank unit, and then we have the financial unit, and then we also have real estate agents within Sparbanken. So it's constantly this challenge of what is the totality and what is the kind of detail that matters more for only, like what is insurance specific and what is the group. So did you have those or?
Yeah, I mean, what we found is that innovation is very scary. It's very unpredictable, and so there's a certain portion of the project that you need to isolate from the bank itself in order to grow it. And then at a certain point you have to integrate all of those outside forces in order to make it real. And it's that kind of navigation and shepherding of the project through that's very challenging. That's probably the biggest challenge we face is going from idea into execution. And that's where I think our client was very effective both in nurturing our project but then helping us partner with other people within the bank. And clearly you and Alexander did a similar thing within Sparbank.
Yes, we do. We always have to make sure to talk to the right people, like to make sure that even if it's an insurance-focused project, we need to have these connections with all the different departments. So we need to bring them around the table. In this case that we presented, we did it in a very workshopy way. Other times we have more like a structured setup of reference group and steering group and kind of just to make sure that I think Alexander once told me that if the group or the bank sees this as his project, then it's going to be a failure. It needs to be their project. They need to own it, and in order for that to happen, you need to have different representatives around the table. Otherwise, it will just be internal politics, and you won't be able to do anything, or not much, at least.
So what was the scariest part of the project?
I think the scariest part is actually then still balancing this need for anchoring with being able to think a creative thought, creating this space to actually think fresh thoughts about a problem. Because when you collaborate this closely, it's very easy that you start thinking inside the same box as they do, and it's not something that they want to do or we want to do. It's just the more you know about something, the harder you will start to think that change will be harder because you actually know how hard it will be to achieve something. So hitting that balance, and we use different ways of doing that. Sometimes if we go to our office, for instance, we notice that everyone thinks a little bit differently. If we meet at the bank's offices, then you're a bit more confined in your thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, for us with BBVA, the scariest part I think was when we actually understood the scale of the idea. So initially, when you're talking to consumers, you understand that you're designing for people. And at a certain point, you realize that we're designing for people in 40 countries across various languages and systems, and how to integrate all these things and bring it together and imagine it rolled out to hundreds of thousands of consumers. That was sort of the scary moment for us. Is this really possible? And that's still something I think that we're working to develop, to try to refine the idea so that it can be rolled out effectively.
Have you identified like one place to start, like one service or one touch point to actually start?
I think the areas that need the most exploration are the things that we want to that will either transition consumers to the bank or transition consumers away from the branch. So an opportunity to acquire new customers at a point of sale or something like that is a way to bring new people into the bank. And that's obviously a place where everybody wants to start. And I think trying to understand how tools will transition from their current state into the future state, the faster you can do that, and the first bank that does that will be the winner. And so the one that can most successfully do that the fastest.
We have a lot of discussion with the bank branch actually as well of the future of the branch itself. Will there actually be a branch, or will everything be online? And I think that's a really interesting discussion.
What do you think?
At least I think more and more will be online. And we try to take inspiration from the good things that people tell us about the meeting in the branch. Like when you go to a branch, you actually have a fixed time or a meeting with an advisor. The advisor have often like prepared himself a bit, and is very well. His time is your time for that period of time. So we try to translate that into the digital experience and enrich the digital meetings with this physical feeling in a way. But I think actually banking will see some disruption quicker than what they are comfortable at realizing. Actually, I think they will see a lot of people moving out from the physical banks into self-service systems within just a couple of years, 1 to 2 years.
No, I mean, I agree. I think the actual physical manifestations of the branch infrastructure will probably be a transitional tool. That in the next 10 years, branches are going to be closed quite rapidly, and people who haven't adapted already to digital tools will be forced in that direction. So I think it's going to be a combination of consumers moving in that direction, that trend starts, and then the banks sort of starting to close that out. And in a way, I think that'll make for a more efficient bank. The question is, will that deliver the right experience for consumers? And I think that's the big challenge.
Yeah. I think you probably see a bit of difference between the different consumers also. Like we had lots of discussions about the need for mobile, and it's really a generational issue as well. So many of Alexander's managers actually challenged us to, would people really actually do this? Would they fill out the form? Like, this is a complex form, how can you make it work for mobile? And I kind of kept telling them that look at the rate mobile is growing. It's becoming the most important device for an ever-increasing set of consumers, and it's more, I try to frame it more like it's a design challenge really. We have to think mobile first, and we have to design something that is so simple that you can actually scroll it and understand it on this limited space. And they finally got it, and I think they will finally see some other stuff also.
It was great. Good luck with your project, and I hope this rollout goes really well.
Thank you. Likewise.
And I think that's pretty much it for us. So I'm waiting for all the applause to happen again.
Yeah.
Great.